Hello everybody, and today I'm going to be showing you guys a gameplay between Leela and Leela, where Leela cannot calculate a single move in the future, and every single move is played purely based on intuition. That's right, Leela cannot calculate a single move in the future. It literally just makes every single move based on what it move thinks is right, but not based on calculation. So there's gonna be some blunders in this game, but at the opening, like, these moves are top engine moves by Stockfish by Leela. These are the best moves, and Leela makes them intuitively, which I think is very, very impressive. Okay, so the opening is just g3. Like, this is the starting position of the game. We get d5, bishop e2, knight c6. We get pawn to e3 is chosen. So there's many different setups that white can play. For white can play this move. This is not really that good. White can play d3. White can play this move. White can play this move. But, okay, e3 is chosen. This is also a move that Hikaru Nakamura likes to play. And he plays this move. He plays this variation where the bishop is very strong on the diagonal here, and there's a lot of ways to attack this pawn. You can go d3, you can go f3. So, okay, bishop c5 is played, and now d3. Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop goes back, and take, knight takes c4, bishop d3, d5, knight bd2 is chosen in order to attack the knight. And now castles is played. Now, if you take and take, then there's a pin. So, yeah, and the problem is that there's just not really any way to meet the pin. Like, if you castle, then, if you play f3, then this move, obviously. The problem is if you bring a queen here, the problem is, your queen is, Okay, so taking was not played. Castles was played instead. Bishop to f5. Bishop takes e4, and I think these moves are fairly logical. And we reach basically a position with a knight versus bishop. So a move that I am immediately thinking of, which actually was played in the game, is to improve this knight. So where do you want this knight? Well, I want to move the knight to this square, because the knight really wants to go to e3. So you played this move, very interesting, and that actually took the bishop. So I'm also thinking of this move. I think this is also, this is actually the second best move according to Leela. Now let's see what Leela thinks here. Okay, actually then just says that black is better here, which is very interesting. So it doesn't actually like this position for white. So knight takes b6 is correct. Let's see, knight takes b6, ab6, and now pawn to c4. So black is apparently slightly better here, which I was a little bit shocked by because, spoiler alert, white ended up winning this game. But the fact is that black is apparently better here. Probably it is because, the pawn on d4 has to be defended. The bishop on b2 is not really doing much. But also, I don't know why this position isn't just completely equal. Anyways, queen to g5 is played, which is an interesting idea. Queen c1 is definitely a move that I would play, just trying to trade. And now, obviously, black will decline this trade. If you trade, this is probably just maybe slightly better for white. Now we can play f3, get rid of black's strength, and white can play. Oh, I could actually take with this one, because then, this is not hanging. Okay, anyways, this one was played. Queen to g6. Now queen to f4, white activates the queen. Now white has to activate the rooks. Now pawn to b5 is played. Wow. Just trying to undermine the structure, but now black's pawns are even more weak. Okay, pawn to d5, opening up the bishop. Now this move, queen defense. Maybe we get a trade. We do get a trade. Let's see what the engine says about this position. The engine says it is actually around equal. Okay, the rook's attacked, the rook moves away. Bishop to bishop f5, defending. And now this move. So, yeah. So you get the center pawn, the bishop is attacked. h5 defends it, rook d4. So here, this pawn on d5 is extremely strong. The only problem for white is that it's up to colored bishop. So it's really difficult to sort of push it to actually make much progress, but white definitely has an advantage. So black tries to push his majority. He plays the move h5, also defends this bishop, obviously. Now f6, preparing to get the king to the game, and also blunting the diagonal, and also preparing to go pawn to g5. So fairly, logical idea. Now, what I really like about Leela's sort of network thinking, by the way, Leela, again, cannot calculate a single move, is that it sees ideas like h5, f3, and king f7. It sees these moves probably from here. Like, it knows these ideas in this structure. It knows that the ideas here is to play, you know, it's that when you lose this pawn, when you get into the structure, it understands that, you know, I have to push this majority because, you know, basically in the long term, it's going to be very nice to have an active king and to have a pawn majority. And then bishop to e6 is played, which just loses the game. By the way, I have not seen this game before. Bishop e6 is ridiculous. So black just gives up a piece. Like, okay, bishop e6 makes sense because, you know, if you take it, then there's take, but it's check. So I guess if Leela maybe had 1 second, one more move to calculate, it wouldn't have blundered this. But it's still interesting to see because Leela cannot calculate. So we'll see how the conversion goes. But yeah, this should be pretty nice. Rook d4 now defending the bishop, obviously. So white just takes everything. I mean, but obviously the defense is very, very nice here. But yeah, here you just push them on forward. And by the way, this entire game is like, it's pretty high level. It's pretty damn high level. It was played on my machine for like 2 seconds. Like, it took like legitimately 2 seconds to play this entire game. And it's all the network. It didn't calculate anything. And still, like, it, you know, the game was actually very high quality, but like the mistakes it makes are completely inhumane. Like, no human in the world would play bishop e6. But all the other moves, they are inhumane. Like, the opening was completely reasonable. And then, you know, like the here, take, like, all these moves are really, really nice. But yeah, I feel like this is, that was the game I wanted to show you guys. Move pawn to b3 is very playable. And this is apparently the top line if you play through. Then you win the bishop. So, maybe, yeah, actually I don't think there's much you can do as black to keep it. Because if you go here, you weaken the square in the center of the board. And also prevent your bishop from going to f5. It's really difficult for black to really stop this knight c4 idea. I think knight c4 is really the only move here. And then if here you go, take. Now, apparently here the engine likes to move bishop a3. I will not calculate, you know, understand the knight bishop move, but this position the engine does not like. But why? Let's see, why does the engine not like this position? So first of all, if I go here, and if I take with the queen, I lose this pawn. And if I take with the rook, there's this move. Actually, wait, but okay, like, let's just not overthink this. Yeah. So, first one I'm thinking of is here, but e3 just does not work. Taking, even rook e8, not even taking, is apparently a better move. And now if you go here, now you just go f6. And it's just complete strategical domination, apparently. The bishop goes to c7, the queen moves forward, and white doesn't really have any more progress. Now the question here that I have is, how does white make progress? If I play c4, they play queen g5, how do I make progress? Queen g5, would that need to do what? Would that need to do what? I don't know. Is bishop c7? Maybe? d5? Bishop h5, damn. Queen d4, rook a e8. And what's interesting about these lines is that these are basically top engine lines by like Stockfish. It's really incredible the fact that Leela is able to play even with very small depth. Like, you can see that 5,000 notes a second, it seems pretty big. But then you look at Stockfish, and Stockfish can calculate millions of moves a second in the browser. Okay, anyways, let's get on with the video. Bye.